I had a really great conversation with someone who also has non-dominant identities, who is amazing in their field. And they had made a comment in regards to, especially around 2020, with all of the civil unrest that we had going on with the George Floyd murder and so many other things. But the conversation was around the more you look for racism, the more you're going to find it. And so if you live your life looking for it, you find things, right? And so that really resonated with me as I was getting into the point where I was starting to apply for positions and not try not to take that as an element that would mean I was getting declined from positions and stuff, trying to be really either both kind and not assume the worst. And sometimes I think that I've taken that too far, to the
Yeah.
sense where it's just, is this occurring because of an identity that someone does not respect because it's not in a dominant identity? Or, and then sometimes I feel like, yes, I'm a woman in science, and I feel like I'm very obviously woman in science type thing, but I don't think about myself being a woman in science because I feel that if I think too much about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
I'm going to see all of the little slights and things, and it'll drive me crazy and it'll just get me down. So it's just, oh, that happened, whatever. Let's come up with another way of getting around it. But I do
Yeah.
feel that there's an element to my choosing not to think about my identities too much in that situation where I am condoning some of the behavior instead of calling it out. And so that might be a self-preservation way for
Yeah.
me to still get the things that I want to do done as an activator, where it's just, oh, whatever, you just are an old fogey and don't aren't with the times. But is it also something that I need to make sure that I'm not modeling for my students to where they are allowing said behavior to continue? And also for myself, if I'm going to be working with these people for the next 20, 30 years, stopping that behavior early on so that they don't take advantage and assume that it's okay. And,
Yeah.
I think we sometimes tell ourselves that our identities aren't important, that that's not the reason why things are happening, that it's because of something else, but as a way to not drown under all that negativity, but also, like me, may have taken it to the extreme where it's just like now
Yeah.
you continue to allow it to happen. And so finding that balance,
Yes, that's
balance.
the balance. There's a tension there when you are a person of color or a woman or any non-dominant identity to, as you said, self-preserve. If I think about all of the racist, homophobic, etc. stuff that may have happened to me or did happen to me in my life, how much does that get me down and stop me from doing things and moving
Mhm.
forward? But then perhaps absolving or condoning or consenting to that way of being, and then how does that impact other people? We
Mhm.
have to protect ourselves, and I think we have to also speak out. And it's a tension that I think we'll always feel, but a balance is probably the healthiest way of thinking
Yeah.
about it. And then and hopefully gaining allies who have privilege in those areas to be allies in those moments so that we're not all the
Mhm.
pressure doesn't fall on you as the person who has those non-dominant identities.
Because
It's
yeah,
yeah.
but I also think because it's I think it's important to recognize too, because we talk about this a lot with our students, because in C-Trade we do student development programs for mostly minoritized students, and I think all of that all of those non-dominant identities